stories happened during that period of time.
Yes, and just think about it. He originally was just a courier.
Right.
He wouldn't have a lot of the connections or the networks to organize the meal allocation system there. But he wanted to solve this problem, and eventually, with his own efforts, he solved it, and he established a kind of
we know you bombarded my system for 2 minutes straight, and then the camera turned off.
This is just a very important achievement, which was which was developed by somebody, just a random Joe, if we can put it that way.
Yeah.
I think he never believes that he cannot achieve anything. In Wuhan at that time, a lot of the businesses have already stopped operations of the lockdown, but he managed it, he made it, he helped the people. I think that's why he inspired a lot of people, and that's why he got on this list. And he's not the only one there. We have talked about numerous such volunteers who made their share of contribution to the battle against the COVID-19 in Wuhan. Without them, I think it wouldn't be like this. We wouldn't be able to end this battle so fast in Wuhan.
Indeed.
We feel really grateful to them.
Indeed, and he's Wang Ying is among those people who helped a lot, and also if you interview these people, they are really humble. And back in February, I came across this piece of information on China Daily. The reporter interviewed him and asked him why he tried so hard to help the medical staff, and his answer was quite simple. He said that they are the lifesavers. And also he said everyone is working hard to help medical staff members. I'm just an organizer, and he said I'm very confident that we can overcome the epidemic. I've done what I could, and I will not regret it. And I want to say congratulations to all those people. Now it's already July, and we see that Wuhan and Hubei and actually almost every province here in China have actually won the battle. Actually, and most recently, Beijing has conquered the second wave of the pandemic. So
yes, it is. Now, Mr. Major has informed you of the insurance on my diamonds, which disappeared 2 nights ago.
Johnny
Yes, sir. He told me to speak up.
The diamond dilemma.
He told me you insured $2 million worth of diamonds against theft by persons or things unknown on this earth. Exactly. And I wish to collect from your company on that basis. Tell me, where did you keep them? Right here on this table in front of the window, right here. You mean to say you didn't lock up such valuable property? Mr. Dollar, let me show you something. Look here, on my control panel. You recall the series of gates you passed through after leaving the main road? Yeah, very well. But by means of my electronic devices, I followed your progress every inch of the way.
Well, I'll be done.
I watched your arrival at the main gate on this video screen.
What?
You said?
That's putting it mildly.
What did you say?
I say that's putting it mildly.
Yes. And I'm sure you noticed this mountaintop is completely encircled by a 12-foot electrified fence. Between it and the inner fence is a maze of photoelectric cells. This panel controls floodlights with which I can cover every inch of ground between the two fences. These viewers are geared to the floodlights. All of this equipment is automatically activated on contact. In short, Mr. Dollar, I can detect and follow any person or thing which moves through or between these two fences.
Anyone who knows electricity could cut your fences and come right on up the road.
I did not say this mountaintop was impregnable. I said no one could reach it without my knowledge.
Why did you take out such limited insurance on your diamonds, Mr. Billing?
I've made my money by leaving nothing, absolutely nothing, to chance. Now that man has projected objects into outer space, it is reasonable to assume that other planets may be ahead of us in technical endeavor. Diamonds would be of tremendous value to an unknown civilization.
Well, look, how do I know this is not just an elaborate scheme to collect $2 million?
A fair question, Mr. Dollar.
What would prevent you from hiding those diamonds somewhere on this mountain?
I should consider that question an affront to my integrity, but under the circumstances, I do not. I simply defy you to find them.
Then what's your explanation of their disappearance?
I have none. And unless you find one, I intend to collect from your company under the terms of the policy.
Mr. Major mentioned the chief of police in Lakeview. Do you mind if I talk to him?
Andy Prentice? Not at all. I have a direct phone to his office in his home. Would you care to talk to him now?
No, thanks. But I would like to use your car.
By all means, I'll open the gate for you on your way down. Just one point. There must be no publicity on this matter. Understood?
Mr. Billings, if I can't prove that your diamonds were taken by a person, those space cats are going to get a lot of publicity.
Act 3 of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, in a moment.
Our flag now numbers 50 stars, and behind each star there stands yet another flag representing one of the 50 states. South Carolina's state flag was designed by Colonel William Moultrie in 1775, commemorating the defense of an island fort near Charleston by the colonel's troops, who wore blue uniforms and caps decorated with silver crescents. In the following year, when British ships attacked the fort, their cannon shot sank into the soft palmetto logs and were stopped. Thus, the palmetto tree was added to the flag in 1777. South Carolina's state flag, the flag of the 8th state to enter the Union, was adopted on January 28, 1861, the day South Carolina joined the Confederacy.
And now Act 3 of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, and the Diamond Dilemma matter.
While I drove down the mountain with gates electronically opening and closing behind me, I did some thinking. Billings had bought and paid for his privacy at tremendous cost. I couldn't see any loopholes in the setup. Yet, the diamonds had disappeared. 45 minutes later, I pulled up in front of the police station in Lakeview. Obviously, I was expected by the chief of police, Andy Prentice.
Oh, Mr. Dollar, my name's Prentice. Mind if I join you?
No, hop in.
Just cruise down by the lake. I'm sure you want this to be a private conversation, too.
Good idea.
Now, what's your opinion on the diamonds?
Well, I don't know who took them, but I'll tell you one thing. I don't believe it was some thing or somebody from outer space.
Well, how would you get through all those electrified fences, photoelectric cells, floodlights, and closed-circuit viewers?
See a Jamaican climb the side of a mansion?
Well, what's your opinion?
I'm as practical and logical as the next fellow. If a human being couldn't get to Mr. Billings without his knowledge, and he'd call me the moment somebody tried.
Well, sure, spaceman.
Well, what else?
I noticed one thing, Chief. He's a little hard of hearing and doesn't wear a hearing aid.
He doesn't need one. Just turns up the volume on all that electronic stuff he has around him.
Well, suppose someone parachuted onto the top of that mountain.
How would he get out?
Man could dig under those fences.
That would leave evidence, and I've been over every inch of the ground. I've even thought of the expert pole vaulter idea. No sign. Nothing makes any sense.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Well,
I'm going to ride in
leave much
Billings'
of a sign,
private
though.
plane. I'd like to take a look at that mountain from the air.
I don't know what good it'll do you, but I'll go along.
Well, maybe there are spacemen, but I still don't believe it.
I don't feel right. Johnny Dollar, are you Canadian Dollar?
We're coming to it now. See the road winding up? And there's the lodge.
Yeah,
I asked the pilot to circle around the top as close to the air pockets will permit.
good. Chief, have the pilot drop down just below the top and steer a course between the two fences all the way around.
Whatever you say. Oh, pilot!
For the next few minutes, I studied the top of that mountain from all possible angles. The road leading up to it, the terraces, the lodge itself. Suddenly, an idea hit me. And a few minutes later, I left the somewhat puzzled chief of police at the landing dock on Clear Lake. An hour later, I was explaining who I was and what I wanted to do to a somewhat incredulous captain of police at San Francisco's International Airport. I finally convinced him I wasn't out of my mind, and he reluctantly agreed to cooperate. Then, about dusk, I found myself exactly where I wanted to be, on top of Billings Mountain, calmly walking toward the lodge. Good evening, Mr. Billings.
What?
I said good evening, sir.
Mr. Dollar. Why, I don't understand.
See? Those space suits.
I can't believe it. How did you do it? How did you get here?
The same way as the man who stole your diamond.
This is impossible. Impossible. My electric system gave me no warning.
That's because you have it located in the wrong place.
What?
It's in the two fences and between them halfway down the mountain. Above them, there is one level spot, 50 yards across. It isn't covered by your automatic whistles and bells.
But it isn't, it's not necessary.
Wrong. It's just big enough for a helicopter, which is waiting for me out there right now.
A helicopter?
You didn't see us because we came in and landed below your line of sight. You didn't hear us because you don't wear a hearing aid.
I can't believe it. But you must be right.
And you'll have to agree that your diamonds were not stolen by persons or things unknown on this earth. The terms of the policy.
Of course, I disallow all claim, but
Good. Now, it's none of my business, Mr. Billings, but was your San Francisco manager, Norton Shields, a pilot during the time he was in Korea?
Well, yes, he flew rescue missions in a helicopter.
Yeah. The company that insured your diamonds against ordinary theft might be interested to learn that. Good night, Mr. Bill.
Yes. Good night, Mr. Tyler.
You know, in some ways, I felt sorry for him.
This is a
He
shitty
spent
ending.
millions of dollars to insure his diamonds and his privacy. Came a real showdown, and it turned out he had neither. Oh, he'll get his diamonds back, sure.
Tesla
Probably buy
bet
some more.
against itself and shorted a
But
$20
privately,
billion
with or without
flip.
money, is a pretty hard thing to come by.
$20 billion
At
out
least
of
in this
nowhere.
band.
What brokerage paid for that?
Expense account total, including incidentals and transportation back to Hartford, $284.30. Yours truly, Johnny Bell. Our star will return in just a moment. Here's a thought for you to mull over in your mind. Some say heroes are born. Others say heroes are made by circumstance. All men can't be heroes, but all men can try. Whatever the case is, a man who acts heroically, whether in peace or in war, is a man whose actions are a consequence of outstanding capacities of intelligence, will, and character, rather than accidents of position. Accidents may and do happen, but it is the man to be envied who sets himself above and beyond the call of
What the
duty
fuck is this?
when the situation arises. Such a man was Chief Gunner Robert Edward Cox, United States Navy. While he was serving aboard the USS Missouri during target practice off Pensacola, Florida in April 1904, a roaring, enveloping fire suddenly broke out in the after turret, killing 5 officers and 28 men. The whole ship was in imminent danger of complete destruction by explosion. It was only by the cool thinking and prompt action in the face of death by Chief Gunner Cox with the aid of 2 gunner's mates that the raging inferno was brought under control and the USS Missouri and the rest of her crew were saved. The President of the United States presented the Medal of Honor to Chief Gunner Robert Cox for heroic and exemplary conduct at the risk of his life. To Gunner Cox, it was simply a job that had to be done, and he did it.
Oh, wow.
Now here is our star to tell you about next week's story. Next week, a moth, a tiny moth, solves a case involving our national security.
Oh.
Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dove. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, originates in Hollywood and is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Today's story was written by Alan Boxer. Heard in our cast were Edwin Jerome, Paul Dubois, Frank Gerstle, Junius Matthews, and Marvin Miller. Be sure to join us next week, same time and station, for another exciting story of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. This is Dan Cumberly speaking.
This is the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Listen up, you mug. You're listening to the Crime and Suspense channel on the Rocket Classic Radio Network. So you better listen good. Understand?
Counter Spy.
Pepsi-Cola.
Hero. Oops. Counter Spy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter Spy. Washington calling David Harding, Counter Spy.
Harding, Counter Spy, calling Washington.
United States Counter Spies, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
Tonight, the case of the hoodlum's hero, a thrilling counter-spy report to the American people. Brought to you each Tuesday and Thursday by delicious Pepsi-Cola. And now, another report to the American people. In your family's interest, listen to these findings recently released by the United States Testing Company Incorporated. After thorough and impartial tests, Pepsi-Cola proved of highest purity. Pepsi-Cola has more quick food energy and value, ounce for ounce, than any other leading nationally known cola. Yes, tested, compared against all other leading nationally known cola drinks, Pepsi-Cola won out. You get the best, and twice as much, in delicious Pepsi-Cola. And now to Counter Spy.
Snowstorm sure comes in handy, huh, Jiggy?
Yeah, Benny. Hey, which brake car is it?
It's one after the next.
Benny, I hope you got that railroad boy's beat figured out right.
I always get everything figured out right, Squirt. Remember that.
Yeah, sure, Benny, sure.
And what are you shaking in your pants about?
I'm just a little scared. Look, it's the kid's first job, Benny.
Who's asking you an opinion, Jigger?
What? Nobody, Benny.
You keep your trap shut. Okay, here we are. You take the chisel, Jigger.
Right.
Squirt, you the hammer. Use the burlap over it to keep it quiet.
All right, Benny.
What?
Pry up the lock. I'll get under with the crowbar. It's starting to give. A couple more whacks will do it.
This is lost on train. What the fuck?
Okay, Benny, all yours.
Right. I'll have this lock off and nothing flat. Okay. Push the door back. Let's get in there.
Okay.
Give me the flashlight, Chick.
Here you are, Benny.
Mr. Crates. Now we'll see if they got those fancy precision tools in them like I was tipped off. You hold down the end of the crate, Squirt. Jigger will pry up the top. Right, Jigger.
Right, Benny.
There they are.
Like a repo.
A whole mess of super-duper tools.
Boy, you bring us a couple of good bucks, huh, Benny?
Just like the man said. Got the gunny sack, Squirt?
Yeah, right here, Benny.
Okay, pass one to Jigger. You two get them filled up fast. I'll start on another crate.
Okay, kid, let's you and I make like Santa Claus. Yeah.
Hold it.
What's the matter? Shut up.
I heard somebody outside. Somebody walking in the snow. Nah, I guess it was nothing.
Come here, Teddy, let go of my leg. Oh, let go. Jigger, what are we going to do?
You're coming with me, all of you.
What chance of that, copper?
You crazy kid, put that knife down.
Sure, copper, I'll put it down. I'll put it down, and you... Benny, Jigger, over here behind the hallway stairs, Squirt.
Where you been, Squirt?
I'm in Papa right there in the parlor. Let's go downstairs.
Okay.
Benny wants to know where you've been for the last 3 days, Squirt.
Why didn't you show up the next morning like you were supposed to? Don't you want your cut on those tools, Squirt?
No, Benny. Why not?
Shut your face, Jigger. I'm handling this.
I'm afraid, Benny. I don't want to do anything like that again.
What's to be afraid of? Get rid of the merchandise? Everybody forgot about that railroad dick getting knocked off.
Just the same, Benny.
Just the same, you ain't pulling out.
Benny, look, you're staying in, you understand? Benny.
You're in till I say you can pull out.
Benny, please, no more.
No more. I'm going to slap that face of yours around so I make sure you know what I'm talking
Okay,
about.
that's enough of that.
What's the idea? We were just
Come
standing.
with me. You and these two kids with you. Let's go.
Well, where we going?
You're going to headquarters.
And this is headquarters, Benny. How do you like it? No clippers in the back, Muggsy.
Yeah, Mr. Laredo, sure.
Well, I asked you kids how you like it.
It's okay, Miss Laredo. It's real okay.
Gee, you're on Bob chair and everything.
Yeah. Hey, who's the silent kid?
I am? That's Squirt.
Maybe Squirt ain't impressed.
Sure he is. Ain't you, Squirt? Ain't you?
Yeah, sure.
So you all think a lot of Slick Laredo's headquarters, huh? Well, you should. A lot of business goes on in this office, big business. I guess you kids thought it was the cops when I had you picked up, huh?
Yeah, you had me fooled, Miss Laredo.
Yeah, and scared?
I ain't ever scared. Nothing.
Tough kid, huh?
I get along.
I like a kid who's got guts. Just like I was when I was a greenhorn. How much Joe give you for the tools, Benny?
Tools, Mr. Laredo? I don't know what you're getting at.
Smart mouth, too. Kid's okay, hey, Muggsy?
Yeah, boss, okay.
Now, look, Benny, I know you took the tools to the fence. Joe told me all about it. Tough about that railroad bull, huh? Little off the top, Muggsy.
Yeah, boss, sure.
I had my eye on you and Jigger here for a long time.
Hey, Benny, he's been watching us.
Benny, how would you and Jigger and Squirt like to come in with me?
Come in with you, Mr. Laredo?
It's slick to you, Benny.
Well, Slick, what's your proposition?
Hey, Muggsy, how do you like this kid? Pretty sharp, huh?
Yeah, boss, sure.
The proposition, Benny, is drawing account and 10% of all you take. No penny ante stuff like freight yard hauls either. I set the deals up for you, and I protect you.
Gee, Benny, that sounds swell to me. What do you think, Squirt?
Who asked you two characters for an opinion? Well, Benny?
Okay, Slick. It's a deal. Now, about that 10%.
What about it?
I like to look forward to promotions.
Oh, real sharp kid, huh? We'll talk about promotions after your first job. It's set for Tuesday night, bookie joint over on 3rd Avenue. I'll line it out with you tomorrow, okay?
It's okay with me.
And Benny.
Yeah, Slick?
Get rid of that knife you carry. You're in the big time now. I got a special gun for you. Okay, Muggsy, go easy on the sideburns, huh?
Yeah, boss, sure.
Just get his hair cut all day long and be fucking doing something very close.
From David Harding, Counter-Spy Headquarters, Washington, to Commissioner of Police Robert Denfield, Bay City. Replying to your recent request for assistance in regard to rise of juvenile delinquency in your city, my assistant Harry Peters and I will arrive at your city tomorrow morning. We'll meet you at headquarters.
I'll write down this card, Mr. Harding. We've turned the whole sub-basement of our police headquarters here into a special lineup room for juvenile cases.
See, Commissioner Denfield. You separate them from the older and hardened criminals, huh?
Yes. I got the idea from one of your counter-spy bulletins. I asked you to come down here, Mr. Harding, so you could see firsthand the city's juvenile delinquency problem.
Well, that's why we're on this tour, Commissioner Denfield. See what the counter-spies can do to help.
Oh, here we are. We can sit right here in the back of the room. All right, Myers, you may begin. Mr. Harding, I think you will be shocked by the youthfulness of our offenders.
Well, after the conditions I've seen in other cities, Commissioner, I'm a little beyond being shocked.
Well, there go the lights down. They're ready to begin.
James Valenti, alias Joe Valley, alias The Ship. Age 18, 5 feet 8 inches, 138 pounds. Charged with unlawful entry. Previous offenses: assault, carrying arms without a permit, breaking and entering. Step down.
He started at 15, Mr. Harding.
Running start, I'd say, Commissioner.
Sidney Ratter, alias Sullen Sam, alias Nuts, age 19, 5 feet 11, 172 pounds, charged with felonious assault. Previous offenses: assault, battery, carrying concealed weapons. Step now.
19 years old.
When did you hear about the next one, Mr. Harding?
Anthony Romano, age 17, 5 feet 7 inches, 153 pounds. Held for arraignment of first-degree murder charge. Step down.
Killer at 17.
As a result of gang vengeance, Mr. Harding. Have you seen enough?
Yes, plenty.
Hold it, Myers.
All right, Commissioner.
Mr. Harding, some days we get as many as 30 juvenile offenders.
Well, Commissioner, I've seen cities where the rate was even higher. But in many cases, we've been able to effect a marked decrease. However, it's not a thing you lick overnight.
Oh, I know that, Mr. Harding. And I know, too, the fine work you're accomplishing with your junior counter-spy organization. I hope you can help us.
Well, we'll do all we can. I'd better get upstairs to my assistant, Harry Peters. He should be about finished going through your files. Well, Peter, come up with anything?
Dave, looks as if you're right again.
You mean you found a likely Fagin in the files?
I've got a line on one rackets boy in this town who sure looks as if he's it.
Now, go ahead.
I'll read you my notes. Salvador Laredo, nicknamed Slick, because he's fastidious about his dress and appearance. 31 years old, 12 arrests, no convictions.
I could see where the Slick fits for other reasons.
Over half of his arrests were for contributing to delinquency of minors, such as sale of lottery tickets, working numbers racket, gambling and betting in pool halls and bowling alleys.
Anything else on him, Peter?
Nothing except that he was a former dead-end kid who worked his way to the criminal top.
Well, I'm afraid that's much more than nothing, Peter.
What do you mean, Dave?
Well, I mean that kids who get off on the wrong foot are easily attracted to a racketeer like Laredo.
Yes, I didn't know what you were driving at. Kids with the wrong slant would make an idol of a character like that. Do anything for him.
So we have the same old problem, trying to make those boys understand that it's unhealthy to respect a lawbreaker. Well, Peters, we'll put him under 24-hour surveillance. We'll keep at it until Slick finds out he's not as slick as he thinks he is. What time is it, Shaker?
2 minutes to go, Benny. Hey, Benny, what if a cop sees you in the alley?
You going chicken on me again, Squirt?
No, Benny. Just the way things are now with us working for Slick Laredo, and you now with a gun and all. Look, Benny, what if you have to use that gun?
So I know how to use it. Even better than a knife. And if you ever try anything funny, Squirt, I'll show you what I mean.
Hey, Benny, can we move in now, huh?
No. Slick said the bookie in that shop there don't finish count his take till 2 a.m. Slick said they hit him right on the dot at 2.
January. I shouldn't
That's when we're moving in.
Oh, there's ever going to be another one. Brand new and shiny like that.
Hey, Benny.
I think it's the most fucked up thing.
Somebody down there, the every alley.
I don't see nobody.
I'm sure. I saw something move.
It's just a cat, you dumb cluck. Ought to paste your face into giving us the jumps.
It's 2 o'clock.
Okay, let's go. Right, here's the back door. You stay behind me when he opens the door, Chica. Remember the code knock?
Yeah. 3 long and 2 short.
Mm-hmm. Now you, Squid, you stick right here. Keep your eye peeled.
Yeah? What do you want?
This is Slicker, pal.
Huh?
Reach and keep him there.
Why, you crummy little punk.
Get him up like I said, or I'll blow your stupid brains right out of that fat face. Up! All right, now back up. Come on, Jacob. Close the door.
Right.
All right, where's the bundle, fat face?
Bundle?
The dough to take for today. Where is it?
Okay. Over there in the safe.
Go on, open it.
Sure.
You're being too easy, fat face. If you're thinking of pulling a fast one, forget it.
I've seen too many trigger-happy kids like you to try anything fast. I know better than to...
Hey, get up there, get him!
Give me that gun or I'll break your arm right off.
Yeah, fat face, I'll give it to you. Right now.
Let's get out of here, Beck. I'm finished.
All right, fat face, you asked for it.
No, don't, not again. So I'm giving it to you. I'm giving it to you if I could.
So why did this Laredo guy want this guy on the stage? It's fucked up.
In a moment, back to Counter Spy, presented by Delicious Pepsi-Cola.
Delicious.
Have you heard about those tests by that famous laboratory? Have you heard the latest news in the Pepsi-Cola story? Yes, there's big news about Pepsi. The cola you've always known is most delicious. The cola you've always known is best value. It's now shown to be the cola of proven science on the best value. The U.S. Testing Company Incorporated because you get more quick food energy ounce for ounce in delicious Pepsi-Cola than any other nationally known leading cola drink. Yes, your Pepsi
U.S. Testing Company Incorporated
is the top. So go ahead, enjoy that extra zing and bounce delicious Pepsi gives you. Insist on it wherever you may be. When you stop at the fountain, make sure you say, Pepsi, please. When you stop at a stand, make sure you say, Pepsi, please. And at the store, get Pepsi in the money-saving carton of 6 big 12-ounce bottles. Pepsi's 6 bottles serve 12 refreshing glassfuls, twice as much. So save money and get the best. Come on, sing the Pepsi song with us. Pepsi-Cola, it's a spot. 2 full glasses, that's a lot. Twice as much and better too. Pepsi-Cola is the drink for you. Delicious Pepsi-Cola. Delicious Pepsi-Cola. Delicious Pepsi-Cola. Delicious Pepsi-Cola. And now back to Counter Spy.
Harding, Counter Spy Field Office to Peters, Special Squad Car X3.
Peters, go ahead, Dave.
What's your location, Peters?
Wentworth Avenue between 5th and 6th. Cruising.
Well, Peters, I just got a call from Commissioner Denfield about Slick Laredo. I'll meet you at the corner of 11th and Millwood. Get there as fast as you can.
Will do, Chief. Peters, the name of the murdered bookie is Johnny Sandusky. That mean anything to you?
Yes, Dave. Sandusky's name was on one of those Laredo reports I turned into you. He was one of Slick Laredo's biggest rivals in this town.
So was Vince Fresno, until he was mysteriously murdered 2 months ago.
Get the picture, Peters? How can you miss it? Laredo's out to consolidate its position as top racket boy.
That's it. We know from our surveillance reports on Laredo that he wasn't within 5 miles of the store where the murder took place early this morning. So the question is, who does Laredo's dirty work?
You think it might be some kids, Dave?
Well, it's possible, due to the fact that Slick Laredo is notorious for exploiting minors.
What's your plan, Chief?
Well, an old but reliable one, to capitalize on criminal pattern. You can almost be sure that Laredo isn't going to stop eliminating his competition until he can wear his crown without worry.
Smart.
According to our reports, Laredo still has 2 big rivals outstanding. Georgie Troy and Ken Easton.
Yeah. So I've asked Commissioner Denfield not to have Laredo picked up for questioning in Sandusky's murder.
I don't think he got away with it.
I have an idea it'll encourage him to proceed with his elimination tournament with a little less caution.
They've been doing that a long time too, eh?
That's right, Peters. Build it up for the
So
big
some people think they're starting to get it, they reach a certain level. Yeah, you went from fucking municipal to federal, stupid.
Benny, you shouldn't call me here at the house.
Squirt, me and Jigger are still waiting for you down at the candy store. What's the stall for?
My mom's right in the next room. I can't talk now.
You don't have to talk. I'll do the talking. Slick Laredo is expecting us over at his headquarters. And Slick's like me. He don't like to be kept waiting.
But Benny, I don't feel so good.
You'll feel a lot worse if I have to come in and get you.
Oh, Benny, please, don't do that.
Okay then, Squirt. You got just 5 minutes to get here.
He was using his mom's phone. Crazy.
Feels good, Muggsy. Keep working on that shoulder a little. Yeah, boss, sure. Great thing to rub down, Benny. Keeps you right in the paint.
Slick, you said we were going to talk business.
I'm the one guy who can mix business with pleasure. That right, Muggsy?
Yeah, boss. Sure.
Some vocabulary Muggsy's got, huh, Benny? But Muggsy ain't as dumb as he sounds. The less you talk, the less trouble you get into. Hey, Muggsy?
Yeah, boss. Sure.
Benny, I had Jigger and Squirt wait outside because I wanted to talk to you alone. I had one of my smokes on the table there. I got them special blended for me.
No thanks. Slick, you still haven't said anything about our 10% for the job the other night.
10%? What 10% are you talking about?
The 10 you promised. What are you trying to pull?
I changed my mind about the 10%.
The deal was 10%.
That was the deal. Now I got another.
Look, there was some trouble getting that dough, you know. I had to knock Sandusky off.
That's the way things go sometimes. Here, I'll turn over so you can work on the other side, Muggsy.
Yeah, boss. Sure.
Look, Slick, me and my boys delivered. We
Sure
want...
you delivered. I like the way you did it.
Well, then why cut us down?
Who said I was cutting you down? I'm upping the percentage.
What?
To 25, Benny. What do you say to
I
that?
should be doing 20.
25?
Not 25.
Hey, that's okay. That's...
Hey, what's the catch? How do you like this Benny, huh, Muggsy? On his toes, always looking for the angle, huh? Got what it takes, huh?
Yeah, boss. Sure.
No, that's Benny. I like the way you operate. You got guts. Know what to do when it's got to be done.
That's right, Slick. I'm no slouch.
Now, Benny, I got another job for you. Call Jigger and Squirt in here, and I'll line the proposition out.
Dave, Agent Braden just radioed his report to our patrol point. Any activity at Ken Easton's bookie shop, Peters? Nothing so far, Dave. Report says it's quiet as a mouse over there.
All right, Peters, but I'm willing to bet a good part of my pension that there will be activity soon, either at Easton's or Georgie Troy's place across the street.
I'm beginning to fall asleep tonight, Dave.
Yeah. A little done in myself, Peters.
Oh!
Well, looks like tonight's not the night, Dave. You may just as well...
Back in the doorway, Peters.
What's up?
That boy, coming out of the alley across the street, under that Pepsi-Cola sign.
Shit.
See him? Yeah. The alley right next to Troy's place.
There he goes back in again.
Must be the lookout.
Let's go, Peters. We'll grab him first.
Let go, will you? Let go of me.
You're staying right here, youngster.
I didn't do anything.
You whistled when you saw us coming. You gave your friends a signal to make a run for it.
No, I didn't, mister. I was just whistling because I
got away, Mr. Harding. Ducked over a back fence.
All right, Peters, we'll take this one back to the car. Now look, Squirt, telling me the truth will only do you good.
Please, Mr. Harding, I told you what I was doing in that alley.
Mr. Harding said the truth, Squirt.
I know quite a bit about boys, Squirt. I've dealt with all kinds. I can tell pretty quickly just what kind of a person a boy is at heart. You're frightened. That's why you're not telling me the truth. And it's not because you're afraid of me. It's someone else.
Mr. Harding, let me alone, will you?
You're protecting someone else, not because you like him, but because you fear him.
He's got nothing to fear now, Squirt.
He'll kill me if I talk. I know he'll kill me.
Whoever it is, Squirt, I promise you he'll never get the chance.
Is it Slick Laredo?
Slick? How did you know we were...
Then it is Laredo.
No, he's not the one I'm scared of.
But you have been working for Laredo.
Come on, Squirt, answer. It is Laredo, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Harding. We were working for Laredo.
I promise you, Squirt, you have everything to gain if you'll tell us the whole story.
All right, Mr. Harding. I'll tell you everything.
What'd you come back here for, Benny? You're supposed to follow orders.
I want to talk to you, Slick.
So talk. Alone. Vamos, Muggsy.
Yeah, boss, sure.
Now we're alone, Benny.
I want to talk to you about the job tonight. The job we didn't finish pulling.
Didn't finish?
Because we didn't get a chance.
What are you driving at?
The cops were outside Georgie Troy's place.
All right.
They grabbed Squirt. Jigger and me lammed over a fence just in time.
Will Squirt talk?
Sure, he'll open. Squirt's yellow from top to bottom.
We better blow out of town.
You're staying right here, Slick.
What? Hey, what's the idea of that?
I'm giving this gun back to you, Slick.
Back?
Right in that sneaky face of yours.
Hey, what's the matter with you? Crazy or something?
Yeah, like a fox. Before I beat it out of Georgie Troy's place, he tipped me off to your angle, Slick.
Angle? I ain't got any angle.
You didn't care about the dough we got for you on the holes. That's why you gave us 25%. All you cared about was getting the competition out of the way.
You can't believe Troy. He'd tell you anything.
You were just using me to torpedo Sandusky and Troy. The next hole was to be set up at Ken Easton's joint, wasn't it, Slick? Easton was to be next, huh? And then when I got rid of Easton for you, I'd get the kiss off.
Benny, you got it all wrong. I wouldn't do a thing like that to you.
You're a stinking liar. I'm going to give you the same kind of a break you were going to give me. I'll give you...
Nice work, Muggsy.
Yeah, boss, sure.
Good thing I had that buzzer signal button on the side of my desk. Imagine a little punk like that trying to outsmart Slick Laredo.
What do we do about him, boss?
Gonna give me a special pleasure to take care of him right now. In his gun.
Third person, like you're worshiping or something. That's crazy.
Here you are.
Goodbye, Benny.
Come back down, Laredo.
Boss.
Over there, my next shot will be your finish.
Okay. Don't shoot again.
Don't shoot again.
Keep the other one covered, Peter. Hiding. That's right, Laredo.
How's Benny, Peters? Just a crack on the head. He'll be coming around any minute, Chief. All right, Peters. While we're waiting, we'll explain to Slick Laredo just how bad an investment young hoodlums can be.
Oh. That's what's called Hoodlums Hero? What the fuck? That's crazy. That's in this book here, the reference groups, sheriff and sheriff.
Well, that takes care of the Hoodlums Hero. Now let's take care of the refreshments. Bring on those big Pepsis and have delicious Pepsi Cola all around. Tastes good. You just can't match Pepsi's fresh, tangy flavor. And there's plenty for two of you in Pepsi's big 12-ounce bottle. Get Pepsi by the carton. It's 6 bottles, but 12 drinks. So save all that money and enjoy that extra zing and bounce delicious Pepsi gives you. Remember, Pepsi's proven highest quality, yet it gives you twice as much. Pepsi Cola, it's a spot. 2 full glasses, that's a lot. Twice as much is better too. Pepsi Cola is the drink for you. Delicious Pepsi Cola. Delicious Pepsi Cola. Delicious Pepsi Cola. Delicious Pepsi Cola. Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday, same time, same station, to Counter Spy. Listen on Tuesday for the exciting Case of the Fabulous Formula.
The discovery of a new defense secret and the brutal liquidation of the inventor sent your counter spies on a trail of violent death. The stakes, an important government secret. The enemy, one of the strangest we have ever faced. Listen on Tuesday to
The Case of the Fabulous Formula on Counter Spy. Tonight's Counter Spy program originated in New York, was directed by Marks V. Loeb, dramatized by Edward Adamson, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer, with music by Jesse Crawford. This is Jay Jackson speaking. Counter Spy is a Phillips H. Lord production for Pepsi Cola. Enjoy some delicious Pepsi tonight.
Time to call it a day. Sleep tight. Dreams you jump.
Director Michael Ryan said the agency is working with health authorities in Kazakhstan amid a rise in reported pneumonia cases in the country. He pointed out that the WHO is studying the local testing conditions and quality for COVID-19 in case that some pneumonia cases are in fact undiagnosed cases of COVID-19. China says the U.S. is in no position to make unwarranted comments on China's cooperation with the WHO due to its declared withdrawal from the organization. The statement comes after U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's comments on China's cooperation with the WHO on tracing the origin of the virus. The Chinese Foreign Ministry says the country and the WHO have been in close communication and cooperation since the pandemic broke out. It also says China is strengthening measures to prevent both imported cases and domestic resurgence, and China is the first to invite WHO experts to discuss science-based origin tracing. China's customs authority says it has decided to halt imports from 3 Ecuadorian shrimp producers after sample inspections showed coronavirus contamination in recent shipments. Samples included those collected from the inner wall of a container and the product outer packing. The temporary import ban became effective starting Friday. The customs also ordered frozen shrimps produced by the 3 companies after March 12th to be returned or destroyed. Beijing recorded no new domestically transmitted COVID-19 cases on Friday for the 5th day in a row. The total number of infections in the city stands at 335 since the cluster outbreak was discovered at the Xinfadi market on June 11th. 12 more patients recovered on Friday, bringing the total number of recoveries to 84. A latest poll shows 2/3 of American adults, or 67%, say they disapprove of President Donald Trump's handling of the coronavirus, the highest level of dissatisfaction with his response to COVID-19 since the pandemic began. The ABC Ipsos poll finds only 33% say that they approved of Trump's performance. Support from Trump's Republican base also goes down, with approval of the president's pandemic performance going from 90% to 78%. Government sources say Japan is hoping to enter talks next week with a number of countries and regions, including China and South Korea, about the possibility of easing travel restrictions due to the coronavirus pandemic. The sources say the talks involving around 10 countries will most likely seek to at first accommodate the travel of business people from countries who have effectively combated coronavirus outbreaks. Along with China and South Korea, countries that may also be approached to discuss the easing of restrictions, including Brunei, Myanmar, and Laos. The Japanese government has already held similar talks with Vietnam, Thailand, Australia, and New Zealand. British authorities say the country will not join the European Union's COVID-19 vaccine program because it will have no say on negotiations with vaccine suppliers or on prices. British ambassador to the EU, Tim Barrow, says that the European Commission has confirmed it's not possible for Britain to pursue parallel negotiations with potential vaccine suppliers. Despite the decision, the British government says it's still committed to strengthening collaboration with the EU outside the framework. Singapore's ruling People's Action Party won 83 of the 93 parliamentary seats in the country's general election. The opposition Workers' Party, which got 6 seats in the 2015 election, gained 10 seats this year. More than 190 candidates from 11 political parties and an independent candidate competed in the election on Friday. And that's the news. I'm Jo Ban.
Hello there, welcome to this Asian edition of Global Business here on CGTN, telling Beijing. And this is coming up next on the program. US presidential candidate Joe Biden details his economic plan for America. Singapore goes to the polls to analyze the economic impact of the election. And at the third World Artificial Intelligence Conference, even more focus on health AI. We start the show in the US, where Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden has proposed a $700 billion plan to bolster America's manufacturing and technology sectors.
During my first term alone, we'll invest $400 billion in purchasing products and materials our country needs to modernize our infrastructure, replenish our critical stockpiles, and enhance national security. That's how much the federal government will spend. on buying products, the federal government.
In addition, Biden proposed investing another $300 billion in research and development to keep U.S. leadership in technology. Biden's ambitious spending plan aims to bring back jobs lost during the coronavirus pandemic and create more than 5 million new jobs. Among other proposals, the former vice president promised to tighten Buy American laws intended to benefit U.S. companies but can be easily circumvented by government agencies. Biden also said he would strengthen workers' collective bargaining rights and increase the business tax rate to 28% from 21%. Staying in the U.S., the country has just recorded another record high number of coronavirus cases for a single day. But as Giles Gibson reports from Washington, American health officials are increasingly optimistic about developing a vaccine for the COVID-19 virus by early next year.
It's being called the summer surge, coronavirus case numbers rising as the country heats up. The US reported 60,000 new cases on Wednesday, pushing its total over the 3 million mark. As well as that national number, at least 5 states, including Texas and Tennessee, set daily records of their own. Even as the numbers spiral upwards, the Trump administration still wants schools to reopen, even objecting to guidelines from the US government itself.
In these guidelines, there are 28 implicit acknowledgments that these guidelines aren't even feasible. 18 times it's mentioned that some of this might not be possible, and 9 times it's mentioned that some of this might not be feasible. So that's embedded into the guidelines. And one specific example I'll give you is on food services. Have children bring their own meals as feasible. Well, there are 22 million children in this country who depend on these meals at schools, who depend on access to nutrition in schools. So that's one example.
The Trump administration has also bet big on a vaccine, launching Operation Warp Speed in May to find one as soon as possible. Top US health official Dr. Anthony Fauci told news website The Hill that a vaccine could be ready by early 2021.
We're really cautiously optimistic that things are moving along quite well with more than one candidate. There are a number of candidates that are in various stages of development. The one that you mentioned, Steve, the Moderna one that was helped develop here at NIH, will very likely be going into advanced phase 3 clinical trials by the end of this month of July.
In the meantime, federal officials are trying to work out who should be first in line for a potential vaccine. At-risk groups like the elderly could be sent to the front of the queue. For now, though, there are much more pressing challenges as intensive care units fill up with COVID-19 patients in the worst-hit states. Giles Gibson for CGTN, Washington.
The latest US jobless data shows claims dropped last week, but the number of people on benefits rose to a record high. CGTN's John Perrott has the story for you.
What do you mean? Jobs claims for the week ending last Saturday pleased Wall Street on Thursday because they fell much more than had been expected.
What did you just say, Saturday?
First-time unemployment insurance up to last Saturday, 1.31 million people. And this is the 14th week in a row that the number has been steadily falling. It still means, unfortunately, that there are way more than 20 million Americans claiming first-time unemployment benefit around the country on a consistent basis, although time is running out for them, will not last forever. Also, the Supreme Court of the United States weighing in on personal taxation issues regarding President Donald Trump on Thursday. That rattled Wall Street, which was down for a large chunk of the day, and names like Apple and Facebook and Amazon and Microsoft rallying at all-time highs yet again, lifting the NASDAQ, which means we finished the Thursday session with mixed markets. Here are the numbers. The Dow was down by 1.3%, a drop of 360 points. The NASDAQ, another record, the 26th in the year 2020, up 0.5% on Thursday. The S&P 500 down by 0.6%. The Dow looks like it's heading to end the week in the red. We shall see healthcare, industrials, and financials hindering the market on Thursday. John Terrett, CGTN, outside the New York Stock Exchange.
And this just minutes ago, we had the first half credit data from the People's Bank of China, showing China's broad M2 money supply stood at 213 trillion yuan, or $30 trillion by the end of June. That was up 11% from the same time last year. New renminbi loans totaled over 12 trillion yuan in the first half, bringing the balance to more than 170 trillion yuan. That was also 13% higher from last year. Foreign exchange deposits increased about $770 billion by the end of June.
How many quiet?
In Singapore, where voting in the general election began Friday morning, about 2.6 million citizens will cast their ballots in over 1,000 polling stations. COVID-19 means voters have been asked to wear masks and gloves. Sample counts are expected soon after polls close at 8 p.m. local time. The full makeup of the next parliament is likely to be known by early Saturday morning. Let's find out what's happening on the ground in Singapore and go now to our correspondent Miro Lu joining us from Singapore. Hey there, Miro, what's happening?
Hi, Lei. Yeah, today's general elections are being conducted under the shadow of a global pandemic and its economic impact. Singapore's partial lockdown measures, which were implemented by the government to prevent the community transmissions, have severely affected the economy, especially the small and medium-sized businesses. The 2-month-long lockdown has resulted in job losses and pay cuts. External demand remains to be weak as most of Singapore's trading partners still keep their doors shut, and some are even battling a second wave of the coronavirus. Economists we spoke to said they have given a really grim economic outlook for the coming few quarters, warning that the city-state is heading for its worst recession on record. The central bank here, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, has already downgraded the country's full-year GDP forecast twice this year to a range of -7% to -4%. Therefore, the looming recession and the issue of job creation were front and center throughout the 9-day campaign period. Political observers we spoke to said that at a time of crisis like COVID-19 and its resultant economic impact, Singaporeans might prefer to pick a tried and tested government. The PAP is, of course, the only party that has governed Singapore since independence. Although in recent years there have been lots of debates about having more alternative voices in the parliament, the grim economic outlook might lead voters to a flight to safety mode.
As they have
so this
since
will
forever.
be great news for Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong and the ruling People's Action Party, which has been urging voters to give the ruling party a strong and clear mandate in order to tackle the challenges and guide Singapore out of the COVID-19 crisis. For PM Lee, this is most likely to be his last election before he hands over power to the 4th generation of leaders, which includes his potential successor, Deputy Prime Minister Heng Swee Keat. PM Lee would be hoping to end on a high note of at least 70% of vote share in what would be his final election as the leader of the country.
Thanks so much for that, Mira, getting us the live lowdown on the Singapore election from Singapore right there next to the river. Let's get some economy or economic perspectives on that and bringing our guest, Yuli Kim, country analyst at the Economist Intelligence Unit, also joining us from Singapore. Hey there, so how is this election different given that it's in the middle of a pandemic?
Well, apparently the election itself is different in the sense that there are more safe distancing and sanitation measures, but actually it might not make that much sense to see that the congregation this morning is actually much significant than usual. And also the parties cannot really do fiscal rallies, which is asymmetrically hit the opposition parties, basically because they tend to use fiscal rallies to attract the voters' attention. And also, we're looking at the online campaigns becoming more significant this year. And it has been largely successful, and more, let's say, more younger voters are actually attracted by this online campaigning activities.
And do you think the Singaporean economy needs more stimulus to help it out of the coronavirus downturn, given what we just heard from Miro, which is that the economy is expected to contract somewhere between 4 and 7%?
It's not a
Well, the thing
trick.
is,
That
Singapore
white
economy
and
is not
black
going to
and
get out of
shit
the
is
downturn
real.
by any kind of stimulus measures. But I would say, yes, the government will lash out some additional stimulus measures, despite they have already done 100 billion Singapore dollars, which is like 20% of the GDP, the biggest in terms of GDP share in Asia.
But in Japan,
but it will be. I'm sorry?
I thought the percentage was higher in Japan.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, among the biggest, I would more likely say. But still, the government will likely to continue to do
You got no problems communicating with the guy. You got like 3 different issues communicating with the guy. You interrupt him.
More affected sectors like, let's say, aviation, tourism, retail, to cushion the losses.
He doesn't even know the answer for. He's not sure what he just fucked up.
Measures coming in, especially to weather it out of the downturn entirely. It is not possible because Singapore is such a trade-based economy that the external demand basically determines the Singapore economy's whereabouts. And also the election was passed, so there's no incentive for the incumbent to really use more stimulus, to use more like big stimulus measures. But the good thing about Singapore is that there are like an ample past reserve pool to draw from, so that implementing more stimulus measures will not give additional burden to the fiscal position itself.
These people are still after 6 months or a year in the US trying to outsmart a virus which has never tried to outsmart anybody and has successfully for between 6 months.
I will not say it is fast enough. In fact, Singapore's economy is heavily based in trading, investment, financial services for a reason, because it's positioned as the prime trading route as well as its fairly, let's say, friendly doing business environment. And also, Singapore has actually been doing incredibly good in these sectors, especially this year as when the non-oil domestic export, basically what is produced in Singapore, the export is actually growing in March and April, despite basically rest of Asia seeing a decline in export. It is mostly boosted by the local manufacturing of pharmaceuticals. Also, in the innovation scene, Singapore is quite vibrant. It houses Grab, Shopee, and Lazada, like the Southeast Asia internet giants, as well as the regional headquarters of big internet business like Google and Facebook. So the internet or like innovation scene here is really up to date. But still, like in the long run, amid the deglobalization trend, or let's say decoupling between China and US, Singapore will have to transform its economy, and we expect the government really to facilitate the process even more by moving more, let's say, advanced manufacturing, pharmaceutical, biotech, software, and industries like this to really to diversify the portfolio.
Okay, fantastic. Always good to talk to you, Mr. Yu Liu-Qing, who is the country analyst at the Economist Intelligence Unit, speaking to us from Singapore. To the tech space. Today is the second day of this year's World AI Conference, which is taking place in Shanghai. Let's cross to our reporter Xu Mengqi there at the conference. Mengqi, walk us through the highlights you're seeing on the ground.
Well, Chenglei, you know, I've covered the previous 2 editions of this conference, but I've never actually seen so much online presence. You know, as we're speaking, various subforums are going on. As you can see from the board here, the agenda is quite packed. But all of these forums have limited seats because of COVID-19 prevention and control requirements. And a lot of the, actually majority of the participants, including many speakers, are joining from the cloud. But what's interesting for the viewers this year is that, you know, these events are not simply being broadcast online. There are a lot of tech elements that's making the whole experience a lot more fun and interactive. Let me show you what I mean. Mr. Zhang Yi, an engineer from one of the leading AI companies in Shanghai, SenseTime, is going to take us to the online exhibition this year. You know, traditionally we have an offline exhibition, but this year businesses have moved this showcase of their latest technologies online, and he's using mixed reality technology here. As you can see, there's actually nothing. If you would lower the screen a bit, there's actually nothing over here at the background. But this is the virtual exhibition, and visitors or audiences can visit that through websites. That's pretty cool, you know, but there's more. If we move over to this side, you can see this is an aquarium created out of air, actually. What? And there's a, all right, Mr. Zhang Yi, tell us, you know, what technology is this?
This is not this is one episode that's not translating well to radio. Okay.
Okay, so they are reconstructing
did that copy? Oh, you know what? It wasn't copyrighted. I just hate the fuck.
I Beat, written by Morton Fine and David Friedkin, and starring Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover.
The Joe Gruber murder case. Oh, what the fuck is
The July twilight bleeds the color out of Broadway's neon. The street is a summer's sigh done in pastel. The delicate cottons cling to the visitors' shoulders. Their husbands shoo them away from Broadway's kindly folk. And Broadway's forced to other summer delights. The boat ride to Coney. Try that, kid. The quick shipboard romance. And at the end of it, the guided tour through the Hall of Mirrors. Or the rendezvous at the coffee pump in the Automat. Or just stand on the corner and sniff the cool air from the Catskills sent in the open envelope from the wife and kids. And compare its message with the one in the headlines. Fugitive killer found murdered in boarding house. And decide,
what?
It's better here, kid. Happiness is where the heart is. It's better here.
Holy fuck, this is the intro.
And at headquarters, feel the twilight slip from your fingers as the door opens. And the nighttime is brought to you in the capable hands of capable Sergeant Gino Tartaglia.
I'll come to sound the hour, Dane. At the sound of the bong, it will be late. And even now, the aroma of the cacciatore that awaits at Tartaglia's house is being wafted from uptown down Center Street to tickle the nostrils. Bong.
Give me what you got, Gino, and then you can go home.
Thank you, Danny. You are indeed a kindly, generous employer.
Did ballistics check the gun that killed Joe Gruber?
No, it is the same with which this Joe Gruber murdered an innocent neighbor in the to-do in front of Mrs. Conlon's apartment, which proves to all concerned that this Joe Gruber was indeed the murderer of the innocent neighbor.
Anything else?
What is else is that Detective Muggavan has compiled for you the criminal record of the aforesaid Joe Gruber, which I will bring. It seems that in his past, Joe Gruber
Danny,
was...
I got the record on Gruber.
Detective Muggavan, I'm surprised at you.
What's the matter with you, Gino?
I was about to parlay the information you have gathered, efficiently, I grant, but I was about to parlay this info into the ear of Lieutenant Clover with my own mouth. When you were so rude...
Well, you did good anyway, Gino. You can go home now. Mrs. Tartaglia will be waiting for you.
She, at least, appreciates the endeavor I make to... Good night, Lieutenant Clover. Detective Muggavan. Good night, too.
Good night, Gino. Tell Mrs. Tartaglia you were fine today. Tell her
What's eating him?
Call him up in a little while. Tell him you're sorry.
What for? What'd I do to him?
Well, just do it, Muggavan.
Okay.
What have you got on Gruber?
Oh, technical's got the knife that killed him. Trying to trace the make, manufacturer, distributor, retail outlets.
You said you had a record on him.
Yeah, 20 years long. Gave it to us when an officer booked him up for disturbing the Pell Mell Rotisserie and Bar on 3rd. Got in a beef with some woman, Mulder, GL police. Happened 5 days ago.
Well, who was the woman?
No, we don't know. She didn't show up to make complaints, so we released Gruber. You want the rest of the rundown on him?
If it means anything.
Well, that's up to you. Gruber began 20 years ago in San Francisco. Car heists, filling station holdups. They finally got him good on a negligent manslaughter charge. 15 years in San Quentin. Released 6 weeks ago. Next heard of it, the Pell Mell Bar. Then released to murder Mrs. Conlon's neighbor. Then dead on arrival.
That all of it?
Yeah. Anything, Dan? Not much, huh?
It wasn't much, but it was all I had. Joe Gruber had been mixed up in a disturbance at the Pell Mell Rotisserie and Bar, which was on 3rd Avenue, which took up 40 front feet of sidewalk, and whoever was thirsty enough to dare what was inside. The inside was all bar and 3 fellas deep. The rotisserie part of it being a cheap hot plate burner that melted things upon occasion.
What the fuck?
It took a few minutes to get close, but I finally made it.
And what's yours?
Talk. I'm from the police. Here, badge.
Oh, something wrong?
No, just talk.
Oh, sure. Hey, come here, take over, will you? I gotta talk to a guy. Scooch down the end of the bar, mister, so we won't get our talk mixed up with people.
Ow. Fuck that.
Better, huh? Hey, can I give you something from the shelf? Some Johnny Walker?
About a week ago, there was a little trouble in here.
At least I keep the trouble inside, off the sidewalk.
Take a look at this picture. You ever see this man before?
Well, who is he?
Name's Joe Gruber.
His eyes are closed because you took her while he was on the slab, huh?
That's right.
Yeah, I seen him. Like you said about a week ago. Trouble with a dame.
What dame?
I don't know. I didn't see much what happened. I got told.
Had you ever seen Joe before?
First time. He was in here, picked up one of my customers. You know, throw the arm around the shoulder, I'll buy you a drink, pick up. Friendly, buys drinks. I ask him to pay.
He said, sure, my sister'll be in a minute and pay. He looked serious, so I fed him drinks. Later, I was back in the storeroom, I hear yelling. I get back in time to see a cop off the beat hauls this guy away. Leaves Mal standing there. Drinks unpaid.
Mal? Mal who?
The arm around the shoulder pickup. Mal. Hey, Mal! Mal, come here!
Yeah. What do you want?
Yeah, my friend here's a cop. A very nice
cop,
fellow.
out of my way.
Hey, come back here. Let me through. Let me through.
Let go of me. Let go.
I'm going to have to take you down on the floor to talk to you. That's where you're going.
How'd you get here so fast? It ain't been 5 minutes I opened up that payphone. It was only because the operator got snippy. The man's gonna roll.
Let's go.
Jesus. He thinks he robbed the payphone and got picked up in 5 minutes.
Look, I'm booked, ain't I? So give me my shower and a cell like always. What, am I different or something?
I want you to look at a picture, Mal. Here. You know that man?
Must have been a lot of long-distance calls from that pay booth you tumbled down. That change could add up to grand larceny.
There was that much, huh? Thank you, sir. Just born lucky.
It's gonna be a hot summer in that jail yard, Mal.
Sit down, Mal.
Oh.
Cigarette?
Your friend's got a cigar in his pocket.
Margaret?
Yeah. You want a light? Here.
My feet are killing me.
Put them up on my desk. Comfortable?
Well, what's your trouble, fellas?
What about the picture?
His name is Joe. Bought me drinks. Nice fella. Very nice. Nice cigar one up.
Now let's hear all about it.
He buys me a lot of drinks, tells me the story of his life. And how he did a lot of time on the coast. You know, a lot about his sister Mildred. He liked his sister Mildred a lot.
Go on.
You know, he says his sister Mildred ran away to New York, got herself married. It was about 20 years ago when she was a youngster. And by the time Sister Mildred got back to Frisco with her hubby, Joe was in stir. His sister Mildred come to visit once, then he lost track. Ain't seen her since.
Why did he happen to find her in New York?
Phone book. Looked up her married name on the off chance, and there it was. He called.
Did he tell you what her married name was?
Slipped the old mind if he did. He called her, said he'd wear a red posy so she'd recognize him. The dame shows. Guess what happened?
Danny.
She walks over to Joe and asks, is he Joe who called? Joe says, I am he, only you ain't my sister Mildred. My sister Mildred had red hair like me, he says, so they walk over in the corner, they start to talk. Then the lady raises a roof about something, starts to hurry up. Joe runs after her right into the arms of the law.
What did this lady look like?
Frankly, Joe fed me too many drinks to remember. That's about it, boys. Light my cigar again, huh?
Muggavan picked the nickel thief up by the frayed collar and carried him off to the showers, which left me alone to sift the pleasant time we'd had together and come up with a name. Mildred Gruber, the sister who had run off to New York 20 years ago to marry. And wonder why it wasn't Mildred who showed up when Brother Joe phoned her. And wonder why it wasn't possible to go and ask her herself. For that, you needed her married name, the name only Joe Gruber could tell you, the dead Joe Gruber. And remember that the city has a hall of records, and that girls' names are entered there for births and deaths and marriages. Go to the hall of records. Be handed over to a man named Franey. Wait for Mr. Franey to come back from the long voyage into the files. Finally, he does, waving his find under your nose.
I found it, Lieutenant. Found it.
Thanks. Let me...
I'm afraid you couldn't read my scroll. I'll translate for you. On May 12, 1931, one Mildred Gruber applied for a marriage license. Age 19. Height...
Who'd she apply with?
Got that too. Mr. Hughes Conlon. Age 27. Height...
Conlon, eh? Look up what you have on Conlon. Please, Mr. Franey, do that. Wait again. And know somehow Mr. Franey would look just like that when he came back.
And you got something this time, Lieutenant. Conlon was married again, just 3 years after the first time. And I looked, and there's no record of a divorce. The penalty for false statements is clearly stated on the bottom.
Sure it is. Thank you again, Mr. Franey.
Oh, hi and hello, Mr. Clover. Come on in. In here, the living room. Say, I've been trying to make Alexanders for years. Can I try one on you?
How old are you, Myra?
17. And I won't breathe a word of it.
Is your mother home?
Let's chip in and send her to the movies.
Get her.
Are you kidding?
Get her.
You're a fool. You could have had an Alexander. Did someone come in, Myra? Do you want me to lie to her, Mr. Clover? I most always
It's the police, Mrs. Conlon. I want to talk to you. Hello.
I was about to go to bed. Maybe you won't make it, Catherine. Will she, Mr. Clover? Myra, I'm sure there's nothing here to concern you. Will you please go? No. Myra, you heard me. No.
When you were in my office, Mrs. Conlon, there was a question we never got finished with. It concerned your husband and the woman with whom he was found dead a year ago, and a man named Joe Gruber.
I don't at all understand what you're talking about. Mother. Mama. Mom. Don't you have a date tonight, Myra? Every night. It'll keep. They always keep. All of them. All the time.
You still haven't told me what I want to know, Mrs. Conlon.
My husband shot himself. Because of me. Because of my child. He was ashamed of what was going on with that woman. He killed her and then shot himself. That's Daddy. That's my... Shut up, Myra. Shut up. I've never laid a hand on you, but I... Mother, dear. You're talking like a mom. Never talked to me like this before.
The woman found with your husband was his first wife. Did you know that, Mrs. Conlon?
My husband's first wife? That's not true.
Why did you find out he wasn't divorced?
Why, it's not true.
When Mildred Gruber showed up?
Daddy had such bad taste in women. Myra, You'll hit me? Go ahead. Myra, please.
You found them together, your husband and Mildred. Killed them. Made it look like murder and suicide. Why?
Listen to me.
Then Joe Gruber showed up. A long-lost brother, looking for his sister, looking for Mildred. Found the name Mrs. Hugh Conlon in the phone book. Thought his sister was you.
Please, listen to me.
When you met Joe at the bar, he saw that you weren't Mildred. He began to figure, and it started to build into money. That's what he wanted when he tried to break into your house.
Myra, child, try to understand what I wanted for you.
Gruber got away from us. Holed up in a room. Called you for money. You came to his room, stabbed him to death.
You did all that, Catherine? For me? Just because Daddy was a bigamist? Just because all these years you haven't really been married to him? For you. For you, darling. For your name, darling. Wait. When you're married and have children of your own. Wait. Mother. All for you, darling. Don't you see? I couldn't let that woman destroy what I built for you. For that man or your father. The years. The good name I wanted for you. Wait till Charles hears this. Myra! Charles will die laughing. Wait till I tell him I'm just nobody. He'll float the evening in champagne. He'll be here any minute. Wait till I tell him. I'll marry him, Mom. His last name is Tobin. Then I'll have a name, Mom. Myra Tobin.
This woman's tripping.
Midnight's a happy time on Broadway. It's a place strung into the night like some phosphorescent alley. And they're heaped there. The bright-eyed kid. The voice that whispers from a doorway. The poet. The dregs. It's crowd and it's laughter. And a Nickelodeon where you get pie in your face.
What?
It's Broadway. The gaudiest. The most violent. The lonesomest mile in the world. Broadway. My beat.
Story?
Remember, friends, for refreshment while you work, or enjoyment anytime, chew a stick of Wrigley's Spearmint Gum. There's lots of lively, real mint flavor in it to cool your mouth, freshen your taste, and sweeten your breath. And chewing Wrigley's Spearmint helps keep you fresh and alert. You feel better, work better, get more fun out of doing things. So indoors, outdoors, at work or play, always keep delicious Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum handy. For refreshment while you work, or enjoyment anytime, chew a stick of Wrigley's Spearmint Gum. makers of Wrigley Spearmint Chewing Gum hope you enjoyed tonight's story and that you're enjoying Wrigley Spearmint Gum every day. We invite you to join us next week at the same time when Detective Danny Clover returns again with Broadway's My Beat. Broadway's My Beat, brought to you by Wrigley Spearmint Gum, is produced and directed by Elliot Lewis, with music composed and conducted by Alexander Courage. The program is written by Morton Fine and David Friedkin, and stars Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover, with Charles Calvert as Tartaglia and Jack Crucian as Muggavan. In tonight's cast, Barbara Whiting was heard as Myra, and Irene Tedrow as Mrs. Conlon. Featured in the cast were Lou Krugman, Martha Wentworth, Norman Field, and Jerry Hausner. Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Wow.
Listen up, you mug. You're listening to the Crime and Suspense channel on the Rocket Classic Radio Network. So you better listen good. Understand?
Dramas of the court.
Drama of the court. This is the radio.
Of supplies at the very beginning. What was the reason, according to you?
I just think because all those lists is compiled by men and they don't even think about that in the beginning. But afterwards, we can see their own hospital or their own institute send the sanitary products, the hygiene products to those female workers.
But do you think this is the culture thing or it's whose fault? It's our own fault because we didn't make our voices loud enough for men to hear us, or it's men's fault that they never really care about women's needs.
I think women is always right. We never did wrong for anything, so it's not our fault. Of course, everyone knows. Every month you need it. You need the hygiene products, but all men they just refuse to think about that, or they think, well, you should take care of yourself, but when they depart, I ask of my friends, they say maybe the one night before they will receive the noticing to tell them tomorrow morning you are on the flight to Wuhan. So they do not have enough time, and they didn't know they will stay in Wuhan for 3 months. That's the main problem, because I know some other out of the province hospital, they brought the supplies for 1 month, but after 1 month they run out of their supplies.
So women, we ourselves, we think we have already taken good care of us and to bring as many as possible. But this pandemic, the seal down is much longer prolonged.
Yeah.
And then usually men would never really take care of us in a way.
But yeah. And what makes me more angry is when you wear the protective gear, you cannot go to the bathroom as well. So a lot of doctors, they have this from they put on to took off. Maybe it's 8 hours, including the queuing time. They have to queue to take it off. So all those men, they take the supplies from women, all the hygiene products, they use it as for their own use.
Oh my God! What?
Yeah.
You think women being
and
so
I caught them in video.
What? Caught them?
Yes.
What?
But that means that men at that time, male hospitals or medical workers, they also need something like that because they have no time to go to toilet or whatever. But a hygiene product is different from that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
It's different from a
It's expensive, at least.
I know.
It's a lot.
It's hygiene. It's the more costly. It's not a diaper.
Yeah, according to our survey, it feels much better. If you wear that, it's more comfortable than diaper. I think maybe that's the reason why
they want it.
Wow,
actually, interesting. So this is something unforgettable. Let's talk about going back to women's needs have been neglected at the very beginning, but later, right, it's improved. Do you think there is a deeper sort of issue involved? Because like worldwide, we have Me Too movement, people are extremely sensitive to gender equality. Do you think here in China, as a young girl, you feel that women are being discriminated by the general society, or men especially? Do you have this strong feeling?
Yeah.
In what way?
You cannot freely express yourself. For example, let's say online first. If you say something in Weibo to say, as a girl, I think blah blah blah, and people will attack you as, oh, you are feminism. A lot of my friends, including me, has been attacked before.
Yeah, give me a very specific example. What did you say to make people attack you?
For example, just during this Stand By Her project, we keep calling to say women are in need. All those doctors, nurses, they, aside from the protective equipment, they also need hygiene products. And we keep saying, because we want the hygiene products to be listed into the country level supplies.
Supply line, right?
Yeah, the supply line. And then later, there are lots of boys, I think. I hope they're only young boys, to say, you speak too much. Why you say that every day? What else you want?
These people think that women like you, the Stand By Her movement, is making too loud your needs?
Yeah.
And how does this happen? I mean, are you making too much noise?
Never.
Yeah, not really. Okay, let's do not talk about this COVID-19. But you grew up in a family, right? And you studied in Ohio schools. And your life is closely related with every corner, every detail of the city. Do you feel as a woman, when you were little and until now, you're 27, you're being treated differently?
Yeah, I think every girl, they heard a line when they are in high school to say, well, you are good at the beginning, like the first grade in high school. And then, but later, all the boys will surpass you. I haven't heard it before.
Okay, it's assumed that boys will definitely surpass girls in study.
Yeah, in study in high school.
That's judgmental.
Yeah, but every girl knows that. I don't know why, but I think every teacher from high school, they are just being trained to say that to every girl in high school, you won't be better than boys.
How did you take it? You think, okay, yeah? Or
no, I don't feel anything about that because I don't believe you.
Okay.
For me, it's like that. Because naturally, I won't believe in what you say. That's why I'm studying academic. I think I'm quite still for it. But for other girls, I don't know. I don't know whether they just believed I won't be better than boys forever in whole